Bhagavan has repeatedly said, self is the best guru. While doing self enquiry, can one petition the formless self for advice or upadesha on one's doubt regarding the path? Or submit problems regarding one's life asking for answers? Question mark. Or even request grace? Question mark. Can one talk to the self? Question mark.
What do you mean by the self? When we use the term the self, this is not about something called the self. This is about ourself. Who am I? There's no self other than ourself. That is, unfortunately, people in English translations, they often translate, I mean, this term the self with a capital S is often used. There is no such term in either Tamil or Sanskrit, because firstly, there are no capital letters in Indian scripts, and secondly, there's no definite article like the. So the term Bhagavan generally used in Tamil, the simple Tamil term he used is Tan. Tan simply means oneself. And if we read Bhagavan's teachings carefully, it is very clear in some contexts, when he uses the word Tan, he's referring to ourself as we actually are. And in some context, he's referring to ego. So we need to understand from a context when he's referring to ego, when he's referring to what we actually are. The Sanskrit word Atman also just means oneself. Though it's usually translated as the self, as soon as you say the self, it sounds like it's something other than ourself. There's no, that all Atman means is oneself, ourself. So we are not looking, there's no self other than ourself. So then there are no two things, one little self praying to one big self. It's not like that. There's only one thing. So when Bhagavan says self is guru, what he means by that is self in that context means ourself as we actually are, what we actually are. In other words, Atma Swarupa, that is the guru. That he didn't say that's the best guru, that is the guru. There's no guru other than Atma Swarupa. But because our minds are outward going, that our own Swarupa has appeared outwardly in name and form, as in human form, as Bhagavan, in order to tell us the term within. So though Bhagavan appeared outwardly in human form, that human form is not what Bhagavan actually is, as he made very clear. Ariyati Tarajivara Dahavari Jugohil Arivairami Paramatman Arunachala Ramanan. That is what Bhagavan actually is that Paramatman, that supreme self. I mean, we shouldn't be misled by the word Paramatman as if there's a big self and a small self. Paramatman means ourself as we actually are, what we actually are. That is what Bhagavan is. And he exists, Arivai Rami Paramatman. He's blissfully existing as awareness in the cave of our heart. That means in the very center of our being, he is shining as ourself. So it's how can we pray to ourselves for clarity? How can we pray to ourselves for guidance? Only by turning our attention within. The more we turn our attention within, the more we thereby subside. And where do we subside? We subside in that awareness that is our own being. That awareness that is our own being is the original source of all clarity. That is the light of pure awareness. So by being self-attentive, we are, so to speak, bathing ourselves in clarity. So the clarity of understanding, not clarity in words, but the deep clarity that is beyond words, we will experience that clarity to the extent to which we turn within. So if you want to pray for guidance, if you want to pray to yourself for guidance, simply turn your attention within and try to keep your attention fixed on yourself. To the extent to which you keep your attention fixed on yourself, you will subside into yourself and be as you actually are. And being as you actually are, that is the true communion with Guru. That is the true satsanga. Because our own sat means being. There's no being other than our own being. So being in our own being, Satbhava Tirithale, as Bhagavan says in verse 9 of Upadesha Undiyar, that is the true satsanga. And that is Sangha with Bhagavan, because Bhagavan is nothing but our own being. Though he appeared outwardly in human form, he said, I am not this body, I am that which is shining in you as I. So we shouldn't think in dualistic terms, as me praying to the self, as if the self is something other than ourself. There's nothing other than ourself for us to pray to. And the best prayer is just meditating with love on our own being. That is the best prayer to Guru. Of course, when our mind comes out, we can then pray. But then, see, when Bhagavan prayed to Arunachala, of course, Bhagavan didn't need to pray anything, because Bhagavan's already, he's Arunachala himself. But to show us the way, he sang Aksharamlai and the other hymns in Stuti Panchakam. If we pay close attention to what he's saying there, superficially, he's praying to an external form, to the form of the hill. But he's constantly emphasizing, but though Arunachala appears externally in the form of the hill, it's always shining in the heart as I. As he says in the second verse of Arunachala Pancharatnam, for example, Nityamum na nendridaya na dityudavai. You're always dancing in the heart as I. So, though superficially Bhagavan is praying to an external form, if we see beneath the surface of the words, he's praying to the one thing that actually is. That is, the prayer needs to our prayer out. That is, when so long as our mind is going outward, we pray to an outward form, but we need to understand that what appears externally in the form of Arunachala or externally in the form of Bhagavan is actually nothing but that which is always shining in our heart as I. So when we pray, it's only to give us more and more love to turn within, to attend to I. So the best prayer of all is just being self-attentive. And that is the best way to get clarity, that's the best way to get guidance. Because ultimately, all the teachings come from within ourselves. As Bhagavan often emphasized, the real teachings are not the teachings in words, but silence. But silence Bhagavan is talking about is the silence of our own being. But external teachings, the teachings in words, are useful to the extent to which they direct our attention back to ourselves. So Bhagavan's teachings in words are an aid. They are directing us back to where the real teachings lie. The real teachings lie in our own heart, as our own being, as I. So that awareness, that fundamental awareness I am, that is Guru, and that is also Guru's teaching.